Imagine for just 1 minute that the universe glitches, and your cat, sitting right there on the edge of the sofa, suddenly looks you dead in the eye and begins to speak in perfect, fluent English. The clock is ticking, 60 seconds. You might instinctively brace yourself for a list of very predictable demands. You would probably expect a sharp critique of the dry food brand you buy, a formal request for an endless supply of those expensive salmon treats, or perhaps a lingering complaint about the exact temperature of the living room floor, but that is not what would happen. If your cat could suddenly break the barrier of species and speak directly to your mind, the reality would not be a casual conversation. It would be a sudden, urgent, and desperately needed intervention. The truth is, our cats love us. They have chosen to share their lives with us, adapting their wild, ancient instincts to fit inside our modern apartments and suburban houses. But there is a massive silent tragedy playing out in living rooms all across the world right now. Our human expressions of affection, the very things we do to show our cats how much we adore them, are constantly, violently triggering their deepest survival instincts. We are speaking the language of primates, a language of grabbing, squeezing, hovering, and touching. To a creature whose entire ancestral lineage is built on solitary survival, hyper-awareness, and personal space. We are stressing them out with our love. If your cat had just 1 minute to translate the feline world for you, there are 5 critical messages they would frantically try to convey to save both your relationship and their own sanity. The very first thing your cat would tell you is a direct, unfiltered confrontation about the ultimate trap, the belly rub. We have all been there. You walk into the room, and your cat is lying in a sunbeam. As you approach, they roll over onto their back, stretching out their paws, completely exposing that impossibly soft, fluffy stomach to the human brain, which has been heavily conditioned by centuries of living alongside dogs. This looks exactly like an invitation. When a dog rolls over, they are submitting, asking for physical contact, begging for a belly rub. So, you reach down, your heart full of affection, and you plunge your hand into the fluff. And in a fraction of a second, the tranquil scene shatters. 4 sets of claws wrap around your forearm, teeth sink into your skin, and the cat kicks violently at your wrist. You pull your bleeding hand away, feeling confused and betrayed, thinking your cat is unpredictable or just plain mean. But your cat is looking at you with equal betrayal. What you need to understand is the profound evolutionary biology of the creature living in your house. A cat is an apex predator, yes, but because of their small size, they are also hardwired as prey. In the wild, the abdomen is the single most vulnerable part of their entire body. It is a soft, unprotected expanse of tissue that houses all of their vital organs. There is no armor there, no thick bone structure to protect the liver, the stomach, or the intestines. For a cat to expose that specific area to you is not an invitation for a tactile interaction. It is the absolute highest compliment they can possibly pay you. They are essentially saying, I know you are a massive, unpredictable primate, but I trust you so completely that I am going to expose my most vulnerable, easily, fatally injured organs in your presence, knowing you will not take advantage of it. When you reach down and touch that belly, you are instantly breaking that sacred trust. From the cat's perspective, they offered you the ultimate sign of peace, and you immediately went for the kill zone. The biting and the scratching are not aggression. They are a desperate, reflexive, defensive reaction. Their nervous system bypasses their affection for you and screams that they are under attack. The solution here is remarkably simple, yet it requires a complete rewiring of your primate brain. When your cat rolls over and shows you their belly, do not touch it. Instead, acknowledge the compliment in their language. Look at them, give them a slow, deliberate blink, and perhaps a very gentle nod of the head. You can softly stroke the top of their head or scratch under their chin, keeping your hands far away from the danger zone. By doing this, you validate their trust without triggering their survival instincts, and the bond between you deepens in a way you never thought possible. But the misunderstanding of physical affection does not stop at the belly. The second desperate message your cat would communicate involves our overwhelming human need to hug, squeeze, and tightly hold the things we find cute. It is a phenomenon scientists actually call cute aggression. This bizarre psychological urge to crush something simply because it is adorable. We pick our cats up, we wrap our arms around them, we bury our faces in their fur, and we hold them tight against our chests. We feel a surge of oxytocin, the love hormone, and we assume our cats are feeling the exact same warm, fuzzy connection. They are not. To understand what is happening in your cat's mind at that exact moment, you have to use a vivid human analogy. Imagine you are walking down the street, feeling perfectly relaxed, when suddenly, a creature 10 times your size swoops down, lifts you off the ground, and completely immobilizes your arms and legs in a crushing embrace. You cannot move, you cannot escape. Even if the giant is making soothing noises, your brain is going to flood with adrenaline and cortisol. You are going to experience a state of absolute, silent panic. A cat's entire evolutionary strategy for survival relies on 2 things: agility and the immediate ability to flee. Their spines are uniquely flexible. Their fast twitch muscles are designed for explosive bursts of speed, and their spatial awareness is constantly calculating escape routes. When you restrict a cat's movement by hugging them or holding them tightly, you are stripping away their only defense mechanisms. You are inducing a state of claustrophobic terror. Now, you might be thinking, but my cat just sits there and accepts it. They don't fight back. This brings us to a darker realization. Often, what humans perceive as a cat calmly tolerating a hug is actually a psychological state called learned helplessness. The cat has realized that struggling against a creature of your size is futile, so they simply freeze, enduring the terrifying restraint until you finally decide to let them go. Their heart rate is skyrocketing, their stress hormones are peaking, but they are suffering in silence. To offer affection on your cat's terms, you must adopt an open-door policy of physical contact. Affection should always be an invitation, never a demand. When you want to show love, get down on their level. Extend a single finger and let them approach you. If they want to be close, they will rub against you. They will sit on your lap. They will lean their weight into your leg. But the golden rule is that they must always feel they have a clear, unobstructed path to leave the interaction the very second they choose to. If you allow them the freedom to leave, you will be shocked to find that they actually choose to stay much longer. They do not hate your touch. They just hate the feeling of being trapped by it. Moving beyond the physical restraint, the third critical intervention your cat would make involves a hidden sensory overload that happens right on their face. This message is all about the whiskers. We humans look at a cat's face and we see these charming, elegant little hairs sticking out of their cheeks and eyebrows. We think they are just cute facial features. We playfully boop their noses. We aggressively rub their cheeks. We pat them heavily on top of the head, and we let our clumsy, giant hands navigate all over their sensitive faces. We do this without ever realizing that we are essentially taking a baseball bat to a highly tuned radar station. You need to completely transform the way you see those whiskers. They are not hair. They are vibrissae, incredibly complex sensory organs that are embedded much deeper into the cat's body than regular fur. The root of every single whisker is packed with hundreds of nerve endings that connect directly to the cat's brain and nervous system. They are so sensitive that they can detect the microscopic changes in air currents bouncing off objects in a dark room, allowing the cat to navigate flawlessly without sight. They use them to measure the width of openings, to track the movement of prey, and to maintain their balance and proprioception. When you playfully tug at those whiskers, when you rub them backward, or when you forcefully pat the cat's head in a way that crunches those whiskers against their face, you are causing a massive neurological shock. It is the sensory equivalent of someone shining a blinding stadium spotlight directly into your eyes while blasting a foghorn into your ears. It is overwhelming, disorienting, and physically uncomfortable. This constant low-level sensory bombardment leads to a condition known as whisker fatigue. A cat suffering from this will become highly irritable. They might refuse to eat out of deep bowls because the sides touch their whiskers, and they will exhibit sudden bouts of aggression when you try to pet their head. The proper way to interact with a cat's face requires finesse and a deep respect for their anatomy. Never touch the whiskers directly. Instead, focus your gentle petting on the areas where their scent glands are concentrated.
Thanks, Dad.
Use 2 fingers to lightly stroke the area just behind the corners of their mouth, or the base of their ears, or right under the chin. These are the areas where cats naturally groom each other. By keeping your hands away from the sensitive radar dishes of their whiskers, you turn a potentially stressful encounter into a deeply soothing, bonding experience. As we move to the fourth message, the scene shifts from the living room couch to the kitchen floor. This is a message about the profound vulnerability of feeding time. For a human, eating is a social, relaxing event. We gather around tables, we talk, we share food, and we feel a sense of comfort and community. Because we project our human emotions onto our pets, we often try to recreate this dynamic with our cats. We pour the kibble or open the can of wet food, and as the cat begins to eat, we hover over them. We stroke their backs. We talk to them in high-pitched baby voices, and we think we are providing a comforting, loving presence during their meal.
Sorry,
if your
buddy.
cat could
I
speak,
didn't mean
they
to
would beg
keep
you to
going.
step back and leave the room. To understand why, we have to look back at the wild savanna, the ancestral home of the feline. In the wild, the moment a predator makes a kill and sits down to eat is the single most dangerous moment of their day. When a cat drops its head to consume food, its field of vision is drastically reduced. Its awareness of the surrounding environment is lowered. In that moment of distraction, the hunter can easily become the hunted, vulnerable to larger predators or scavengers looking to steal the meal. Even though your kitchen is perfectly safe, and the only other creature in the room is a slightly overweight golden retriever sleeping in the corner, your cat's ancient DNA doesn't know that. When they eat, their instincts demand that they remain vigilant. Now imagine you, a massive, towering creature,
That
standing
hurts.
directly over them or constantly touching their back while their head is in the bowl. You are not providing comfort. You are forcing
what
them
was
to
that?
remain on high alert. You are essentially standing in their blind
reflective
spot,
breath,
making unpredictable movements.
and the
They cannot
persistent
relax.
passage
They have
of
to
time.
constantly divide their attention between consuming their calories and monitoring your giant, hovering presence. This chronic stress during feeding can lead to a host of behavioral and physical problems. Cats may start gorging their food too quickly just to get the stressful experience over with, leading to vomiting. They may develop resource guarding, becoming aggressive around the food bowl, or they might stop eating altogether unless the house is completely silent. The solution your cat is begging for is the gift of space. Set up their feeding station in a quiet, low-traffic area of the house, far away from noisy appliances or busy hallways. When you put the food down, walk away. Give them the dignity of eating their meal in absolute peace, allowing their nervous system to relax and their digestion to function properly without the toxic interference of stress hormones. Finally, we arrive at the fifth and most profound message your cat would deliver before their minute of English ran out. This is the route, because of almost every single human feline misunderstanding. If your cat could look you in the eye, they would tell you this: I am always talking to you. I am constantly telling you how I feel, what I need, and when I am overwhelmed. You are just completely, hopelessly blind to my language. Humans are a verbal species. We rely heavily on the spoken word, and when we don't use words, we use massive, obvious facial expressions and grand hand gestures. Because cats are generally quiet creatures, rarely meowing unless they are specifically demanding food or attention from us, we assume they are silent. We think they are these mysterious, unpredictable enigmas that suddenly snap for no reason. We tell our friends, he was fine, I was petting him, and out of nowhere, he just bit me. There is no such thing as out of nowhere in the feline world. A cat never bites without warning. We just ignore the warnings because they are whispered in a physical language we haven't bothered to learn. Your cat wants you to start paying attention to the invisible signals. They want you to notice the subtle twitch of the skin on their lower back when you pet them just a little too long, a clear sign of overstimulation. They want you to look at the exact angle of their ears. Are they relaxed and facing forward, or are they starting to rotate sideways like airplane wings, signaling annoyance and a desire to be left alone? They desperately need you to look at their eyes. Not just the color, but the pupils. If you are playing with your cat or petting them, and suddenly their pupils dilate into massive, black saucers in a well-lit room, that is not cute. That is a massive adrenaline dump. That is their nervous system kicking into overdrive, signaling that play has crossed the line into predatory aggression or genuine fear. They want you to watch their tail. A dog wags its tail out of joy. When a cat's tail begins to thump against the floor, or the very tip starts to flick back and forth, like a metronome, it is a ticking time bomb. It is a polite but firm request to cease whatever you are doing immediately. When we ignore these subtle signs, when we push past the skin twitches, the rotated ears, and the flicking tail, we leave the cat with absolutely no other option but to escalate the communication. If whispering doesn't work, they have to shout, and a cat shouts with its claws and its teeth. The responsibility does not lie with the cat to become more human. The responsibility lies entirely with us, the supposed higher intelligence, to become better, more observant companions. We must become students of their subtle, beautiful language. So, the minute is up. The glitch in the universe corrects itself, and your cat goes back to being a cat, sitting on the edge of the sofa, blinking slowly at you in the quiet living room. But everything should feel different now. The illusion of the aloof, lazy animal that just sleeps all day should be completely shattered. You are sharing your home with a highly sensitive, deeply instinctual creature that is constantly trying to navigate a world built for giant, clumsy primates. They don't need you to stop loving them. They just need you to love them in a way that makes sense to their wild hearts. They need you to respect the vulnerability of the belly, to banish the suffocating restraint of the hug, to protect the delicate radar of their whiskers, to give them the ancestral peace of a quiet meal, and above all, to open your eyes and actually listen to what their body is constantly telling you. We all make mistakes. We all let our human emotions override our understanding of animal behavior. It is part of the learning process of pet ownership. So, take a moment right now and look at your cat with new, educated eyes. Think about the well-intentioned things you have been doing that might have been secretly stressing them out. Down in the comments, I want you to be vulnerable. Confess which of these 5 mistakes you have been making and what you are going to change today. Because the moment we admit our flaws and decide to speak their language, that is the moment we truly start to earn the profound, quiet love of the cats who share our lives. What are you going to change today?